Hello and welcome to the 2017 Texas Bluebonnet season. My name is Perry Angela Wickham. I'm the founder of Bluebonnet Love and the Facebook page Texas Bluebonnet Sightings. And in this video, we will be talking about the forecast for the 2017 Texas Bluebonnet season and my predictions and my concerns for the season. And one thing we like to do to get things rolling is, when it comes to Texas bluebonnets, the weather plays a very large part, and when the season will bloom, whether or not they bloom, and how long it'll last. And one of our favorite guests we always like having each season is the chief meteorologist of Coco 5 TV in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. And his name is Damon Lane. Say hi to everyone, Damon.
Hello I know this is Texas that we're talking about, and I'm up in Oklahoma, which there's like this rivalry.
I know.
But I love Texas. So don't hold Oklahoma against me if you don't like what's happening north of the Red River. We're still not too bad up here.
Well, like I've said before, don't go out and get a rope. There's a reason why Damon helps us out for Bluebonnet season. Hit one of his first weather reporting gigs was with the ABC affiliate in Abilene, Texas. So guys, he has lived in Texas, and that is where he first fell in love with the Texas Bluebonnet. So he is a big Bluebonnet fan. We've known him since 2012. And we started a little collaboration between the two states. So we also take care of his viewers in Oklahoma and where they can find the Texas Bluebonnets in the state of Oklahoma as well. As we all know, Texas and Oklahoma have been having super warm weather. What is up with that, Damon?
You know what? It's not just so much even in Texas. It's everywhere. So many people around the Southern Plains have been talking about how mild it has been, and when it comes to bluebonnet season, that can usually have a pretty big impact on it. An earlier bloom, sometimes even a longer lasting season. But this warmth that we've been dealing with, February, one of the warmest on record for the Southern Plains. And it persisted, long before that. I mean, it was ongoing in January and December. We had a couple cold snaps that came in here, but they were few and far between. And it's really just, it's been incredibly warm. And that's really the big story, I think, as we look at what's gone on the last couple months.
Yeah. And so, to state the obvious, I think everyone in the state of Texas, the bluebonnets are getting going. They're starting. Mm-hmm. So we've had reports. I've seen pictures from as far south as the Gulf Coast, and I've seen pictures all the way as far north as Burleson and in the Dallas area. And yeah, it concerns me that they're starting early, but there's good news. And then there's some concerns that I have, and that's definitely what we're going to talk about tonight. So first, the good news is people have been sending in pictures, so there are plants out there. And the pictures of the plants that I've seen, they're big, they're healthy, and they're thick. The blankets are thick. So that's a good sign. Now, I have to preface that with the majority of the photographs I've seen of ones getting started are for ones that are in the more urban areas. So that's where the night temperatures are going to stay a little bit warmer. So they wake up earlier than the rural and the country fields. So, we have to keep that in mind. So my biggest question, Damon, for this season is, in order for this season to go long, we got to cool down. Mm-hmm. Do we have any cool weather in the near future coming in?
Let's jump into that, and let me get a screen share going on here. Texas bluebonnets are very resilient to cold weather. They can handle the cold.
In fact, they need it.
And they really do.
Having those two cold snaps you talked about earlier is crucial to the bluebonnets blooming. They have to go through a period of cold that's called vernalization. And I was looking at the chilling hours, and we just squeaked by on it barely, less than we did last year. They have to have those cold snaps. And also people need to understand that bluebonnets thrive on that roller coaster weather that Texas is so famous for. Those blue northerns blowing in, dropping the temperatures 20, 30 degrees in a matter of hours, staying cold for a couple of days, and then moving back up to Oklahoma. So they actually thrive in those conditions, and that's why they're endemic to the state of Texas.
Yeah, and I wish that I could say I had some good news in that department.
That's scary. I see all that red.
I know. When I start this out, so this right here, this is the 45-day temperature outlook, which will take us pretty much from beginning of March all the way out to mid-April. And this is going to factor out both the morning low temperatures and the high temperatures. But we're looking right now at temperatures out across the hill country. And I know this is a nationwide view here, but you can see all of Texas is expected to see temperatures that are going to be running about 1 to 3 degrees above average here. So what that's going to really do is that's also going to wake up the competing grasses.
I know.
Really the grass that you expect to brown has already started turning green. We're already seeing it here in Oklahoma, which means that if it's happening here in Oklahoma, then it is for sure happening down across the hill country of Texas. So
absolutely,
temperatures are mild. They're very mild. Now, one thing I do want to jump into is this is for Austin. And I know you're kind of looking at two graphs here. The top graph is going to be your temperature graph. The bottom graph is going to be your rain graph. Now, what you see here with this dark green, this is average. Austin averages about 35 inches of rain a year. Right. Last year, they picked up almost 54 inches of rain. Now, as we were saying goodbye to the bluebonnet season last year, where we picked up a tremendous amount of rain in the middle of May, it dried out for a little bit, but you'll see here that the rain came when we needed it to come, which that was in during the fall season. So we got the moisture. However, we also had up on the top graph here, we also had the warmth. We saw very few mornings where temperatures fell down well below the freezing mark, and you see the afternoon high temperatures were pretty much well above average here. So for Austin, we had quite the mild end to the year, and even as we look at where we are this year, so now we're looking at the beginning of 2017. Other than the cold snap that came in early January, it's been very warm. We've had many days where highs have been well into the 70s, up near 80s, even a couple of record highs, but it's also been very wet. You see here, average rainfall should be around 5 inches, and we've already picked up close to 7 inches. Soil temperatures right now for Texas and the hill country are running up into the upper 50s to lower 60s already. So that's where we are that's where we are right now. Let me go ahead and stop this. That's where we are with our forecast. It is expected to be very mild. It has been very mild. It has been very wet, and even the rainfall outlook for the next 3 months is pretty much near normal. So we've had a lot of rain the last couple months. Rain totals are expected to be running about 75 to 100% of normal as we go into the middle of April.
Okay, so essentially you just described the perfect recipe for the grasses to compete heavily with the bluebonnets. Back to the hill country and its nighttime temperatures and its soil temperatures. So it sounds like even though it's in that pocket of Texas that usually has a microclimate and keeps things cooler, which is why typically the hill country will not bloom. Well, typically doesn't really start to bloom and peak until the beginning of April. By the sounds of what you just said, it sounds like they're on target as well for warming up with their nighttime temperatures and their soil temperatures too, right?
Yeah, and so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to try to pop up here, use a little bit of Google Earth here, and for the meteorology, we're only as good as the information that we have and where the weather sensors are. So there's always going to be a couple of those isolated spots where we just don't see don't have a.
You know what? Chasing bluebonnets is the same thing. You know, I've said I can talk till I'm blue in the face making predictions, but what really matters is whether or not there's plants on the ground and what is happening in that microclimate of that field. And so, you know, and I do have a few areas of Texas I have a few concerns about that we'll talk about in just a minute, that I wonder how it's going to do. So, but yeah, everyone's always asking about the hill country and when we think that's going to get going. And it sounds like it's going to get going soon too.
Okay, so this right here is the soil temperature map, and the color table running on the left-hand side here. So you will notice that there are some areas that are running about 5 to 10 degrees cooler than others, from Georgetown out towards Burnett, Horseshoe Bay, Kingsland, as you go out towards Llano
and Castell. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. So you see here that there are a couple areas along Highway 71, Route 281 that are running just a little bit above where we might be, say, from Lampasas up towards Goldthwaite, and even as you go down towards Fredericksburg. So the temperatures are going to vary a little bit. Now, as you go east of Austin, they're going to be running almost in the mid 60s to near 70 degrees. Soil temperatures east of I-35, as you go down east of Austin, down towards, I would say, towards the Houston area, that's much milder. Houston soil temperatures are running about 10 degrees warmer right now than what we're seeing west of Austin. So obviously, as you go down towards, I would say, Chapel Hill, down towards there's some beautiful fields outside of Houston as you go out towards that community, Chapel Hill.
Yeah, and that's the Brenham area. So there are famous bluebonnet hotspots. And actually, one of the areas that I have concerns about this season, until I start getting more reports as to whether or not there's plants on the ground there. So
we're not going to see those strong cold fronts coming in that can at least kind of settle down the grasses. The grass is going green. The bluebonnets are waking up probably a little bit earlier than normal.
Yeah.
And so
I'm
that just
means they're probably 2 to 3 weeks early. I'm thinking that South Texas, mid-March, the Houston, the San Antonio, Corpus Christi, South Texas, possibly Brenham. They're more rural. Things are going to get going probably by the middle of March for those areas, and then it sounds like we might have another situation where the whole state blows up at the same time. The couple of areas in Texas that I have a concern with are those areas that are in the high clay soils. So those hot spots would be Ennis and Brenham this year. Now, I'm hoping I'm wrong, okay? I'm hoping I'm wrong. But those two areas of Texas, and any points in between them, they're in those areas known as the Blackland Prairies that have the high Del Rio clay. And when they are inundated with the rainfall that they were during this spring, I mean, my gosh, I thought that part of Texas was going to wash off the map. Yeah, that clay holds on to that water. Now, another problem with all that rain in the spring was the timing of it. That is bluebonnet baby making time. That is when the plants are setting seed. And with all that flooding, I honestly, I don't know. Did they set seed? Did they rot on the vine? Or did everything just wash away? So I have got an encouraging report from a private landowner in Ennis. She did say they've got plants on the ground. They're better than they have been in the last couple of years. But that is the same thing happened the previous season. That would have been 2015, where they got the rains during January and February, and bluebonnets will develop a virus or a fungus, and they literally rot on the vine when they've had too much water and they're not in soil that has good drainage, or they're not. Now, one thing I did want to ask, I mean, is there any way to predict if we're going to get those hot, dry winds especially that the North Texas is so famous for, like Ennis and Dallas area, because those winds will dry out a bluebonnet field lickety split.
Yeah, we have a wind forecast that really only takes us out about 10 days.
Okay.
So the meteorology that we have is good, but we don't have everything everything down that can go out to a seasonal outlook. The hill country has picked up a fair amount of rain, so soil moisture has certainly been there. I think probably for a lot of us, make a prediction and that we know exactly what the season is going to hold for us. Unfortunately, with every weather forecast, sometimes we just have to say we really have no idea.
Yeah.
And I think even for the Texas Bluebonnet, sometimes we have to say, yeah, it's gonna
right.
we're gonna take it, we're gonna have to take it week by week. And
yeah,
that's where
I want everyone to know that I'm not very comfortable making predictions. And when I started my whole website, I never really wanted to, but people kind of, they're always asking me, and it's like, well, the best I can do is tell you what I'm feeling, And one caveat to the whole concern about Ennis and Brenham and all the rainfall. Here's another thing we can think about. The Texas Bluebonnet seed, the coating of the seed is very, very hardy. It makes, that's part of the whole drought resistance for Texas Bluebonnets. They protect their future crops by having a very hardy seed coat. One thing about all this rain is it could have busted those seed coats open. So,
oh, for sure.
Even though I have concerns that maybe the current, the 2016 seeds might have been washed away or rotted on the vine, if there are still plenty of seeds in the seed bank in the soil, all that rain could have just busted those seed coats up, and we're going to just see them, it could be another muleshoe or mock road year somewhere. My concerns, what it means to everyone is, and this is how I'd like to sort of wrap up the forecast. My concerns are the grasses are going to be getting ahead of them. So what that means for everyone is when you hear of a nice bluebonnet field blowing up, do not wait. Get the kids in the car, get the car gassed up, charge up the camera batteries, and get out there then, because you are racing against the grasses. Second of all, if those hot, dry winds start coming, then you got to get out to the fields then, because I'm not playing when I say those winds can dry out a bluebonnet field in a couple of days. Those people that like to go to Ennis and Brenham for their bluebonnet loving, ratchet down your expectations until we get more information. Okay, so it could be another so-so year for those areas because they've had a tough go of it with all the rain. Or we could be busting open those seed coats, and who knows? We might get another mock road or a muleshoe. I stay in touch with the Facebook page. Make sure you like, share, and comment on our posts, and you will continue to get our reports in your feed. Keep in mind that Facebook likes to throttle back our posts, so if you're not getting them in your feeds, you're not engaging with our page enough. So anyhow, we hope to hear from you guys throughout the season, and hope it's a great one.
Bye-bye.